Welcome to Lending Forward, a podcast where we're lending every bit of what we know to our listeners. From real conversations and lessons learned deep within the industry to education and forward thinking. Together, we're lending forward. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channels and connect with us on www.atlanticbay.com. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal opportunity lender located at 600 Lynn Haven Parkway, Suite 203, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23452. Welcome to another episode of Lending Forward. I'm your host, Taylor Ellard, and today joining me is Rick Melville. Welcome, Rick.
Hi, Taylor. Thanks for having me.
Rick, tell us where you're located and what you do for our amazing company and how long that you've been in the industry.
Yeah, so I'm in the Charlotte, North Carolina market. I'm a producing sales manager, so I have a team of mortgage bankers that work with me. We have a production assistant that helps all of us. And I've been in the industry now, believe it or not, 28 years. I've seen almost everything, although I'm sure tomorrow something will pop up and I'll be like, well, that's a new one.
Well, so 28 years, tell us how you got into this industry and tell us a story of something that's kept you passionate about being in this industry.
The way I got into the industry is I was going to grad school at night, the midnight MBA, I used to call it, when I lived in Colorado. And I was working for a commercial subsidiary of a big bank, and it was all foreclosed assets, shopping centers, office buildings, etc. And I actually found a buyer for a $41 million office building in downtown Denver. And I turned it over to our asset disposition team. They put the deal together and I got a $300 bonus. And I was talking to one of my grad school buddies about that. And he's like, all right, so you're working your butt off for this nameless, faceless bank. You give them a $41 million deal. No one even understands who you are, and you got a $300 bonus. He's like, dude, I'm a mortgage broker. Come and work for us. We can help a ton of people. We can have a lot of fun, and you'll make a lot more money. And I was like, okay. So I did.
Wow. $300, huh? That's wild. You more or less were like, yeah. And that's kind of the resounding thing I hear when people go, they're career switchers, when they figure out mortgages are the best way to go right now. You notice that obviously, but it's typically somebody one step in that's already working for the company that's like, you got to come do this. You'd be really good at this. Yeah. So that's crazy. Well, tell us some of the tips that you have learned over the years. And when we first started talking a few months back, and you told me there's a few things that you do to, one, set boundaries, but to two, really educate your borrowers. How did you learn those tips and tricks over time? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I basically steal a little bit from every podcast I listen to and every coaching group that I go to and other people that are successful in the industry. So like a bouillabaisse, so to speak, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So what I noticed is that, well, a few things. Number one, clients get really frustrated. The same with realtors and referral sources if you don't communicate with them. So I make it a point to proactively communicate with them. And then I noticed that people were calling me on Friday night and Saturday night saying, can we qualify for this? Can we qualify for that? And I was like, there's got to be a better way to run this railroad. So I started years and years ago being proactive. And before Zoom existed, I used to do this on the phone. And now that Zoom exists, I started doing this about, I'd say 4 years ago, maybe 5. So we have clients apply, and then I go through with them the matrix or the grid of what they're looking at buying. And I'll say, all right, I know you said 450 is your maximum. We've all seen what's happened in the housing market over the past few years. So let's go 425, 450, 475, 500, or maybe even 525. I'm going to give you monthly payments approximately and cash to close. Again, approximate numbers, but really tight. And that way, when you're having that 10:30 at night conversation, you know whether you're qualified and whether you want that payment or not. And you can look at each other and go like, hey, you know what? $3,100 was our limit. This is $3,150, but dang, this is the one. And you can make that decision. You can also call me at 10:30 at night, but I'm not answering because I put my phone in a drawer at a certain point and turn all notifications off, which is part of the reason I wanted to do that, is to give my clients a better experience and also balance out having a life. I think if you're getting a whole bunch of calls and text messages at 10:30 at night, you haven't done your job really well in proactively communicating and educating your clients, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And sometimes industry can be very, very reactive on all fronts. But what are some other ways that you are being proactive? I know you really lean into video.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So I do weekly update videos for every client in process and every real estate agent that is involved in a purchase loan. So on Tuesdays, that's my Tuesday thing, I go through and say, all right, I say, hey, Taylor, guess what? Your appraisal is due back on Friday. Your loan's been approved by underwriting. I know we're going to need a couple of things. We always need a new pay stub, et cetera. And I keep you informed. And I tell everyone at the beginning, hey, guess what? You're going to get a video from me once a week, and you're also going to get emails from our system. Between those two things, you should have a really good idea of what's going on with your loan. So none of this black box type of stuff. Similar with the real estate agents or financial planners, if they're involved, and just say, hey, here's what's going on. Appraisal's due back on Friday. Loan's been approved. Obviously, I can't share as much detail with the agents, but it seems to be really well received. Not too many people in the industry do it. I've been doing it probably for 5 years, and I do video every day. So do you want me to tell you more about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like Mondays, for example, I'm sending a quick video text message to the clients and the realtors for the approval letters that I wrote on Friday. So I'm not bombarding them. I'm not calling them. I'm just saying, hey, it's Rick. What happened to 123 Main Street? Was your offer accepted? Let me know. I just want to make sure we're on top of it. That way they can just say yes or no. Yes, contract accepted, coming over in 30 minutes, whatever. Tuesdays, I reach out to clients in process and again, stakeholders. So realtors, financial planners, et cetera, who might have referred me the deal. Wednesdays are previous closed client anniversary videos. So I take the anniversary date and I just book an appointment on Wednesday once a year. Total Expert helps with this. And then I'll reach out and say, hey, Taylor, it's Rick. You know what? It's really important that you're always in the best mortgage for your needs. That's one of my core values. So we closed you 4 years ago. Thanks for being a client. If we can ever help you with anything, let us know. Have a great day. And last year, almost 70% of my loan closings were either a repeat client or a direct referral from a closed client. So that's helpful. Thursdays, I do an early Thursday video, and to simplify things, I do one video and I send it out to everybody that I know we have approved or TBD approved, was looking for houses. And I tell them, hey, it's Rick. If you're looking at something, let's get on the calendar now. And I'll send them my Calendly link so they can book a time, because we've been through everything. But if you want to refine some numbers, let's just book 15 minutes, put your mind at ease, and we'll go over it all. By the way, I have office hours on Saturday from 1:30 to 4. So I'll go down the rabbit hole on that for a minute if you're okay with it.
Sure.
Okay, so the reason I do that is, if you know me, you know I like to get out and ride my bike, especially like Saturday and Sunday mornings, and disappear into the woods or just out in the middle of nowhere. And I would come back and I'd have these frustrated voicemails like, would you just call me? And I was like, I don't want people to be mad at me, but I still want to ride my bike. So I found that if I proactively tell them, hey, I'm available from 1:30 to 4, just book a time on my calendar and we'll talk, that frustration dropped to like nothing. And now I'll get a text message or a voicemail. Voicemails are rarer now, of course. And they'll say, hey, when you get back, I booked a time at 2:30. Cool. And I'll just talk to them at 2:30. Usually it takes 10 minutes and everybody's chill. And they know that I'm looking out for them. They also know that there are some boundaries.
That's huge. This is such great information. So I know that people are going to say, well, Rick, how do you do that? So tell us, what are you using as far as sending those videos? How do you, one, create the video? And two, how do you send it? Is it an email? Is it a text?
Oh, so yeah, there's this computer that we all have now. Oops, I don't know if you can see it with the...
As you hold up your phone.
Yeah, I record all my videos just on my iPhone. And it used to be an iPhone 8 Plus, but it finally died. And so I upgraded. Really, you can record it on your iPhone with a little tripod. Let's see if you can make this. Yeah, you can see this little tripod guy and a ring light. It's not that difficult. And then I text the videos out to clients because I have them stored in my phone. Now I do other videos that are weekly updates for realtors and CPAs and financial professionals. And I typically send those out on Thursdays also, but I use BombBomb for that because I have distribution lists built into BombBomb that seem to work better. So I have another idea that I'm working on. I haven't resolved it yet, to do texting from a database. which would make BombBomb not as necessary. That's what I do. And it seems harder than it is.
It's just getting started. I think a lot of people just don't realize they need to get started. They need to elevate their presence to stay top of mind doing video. How do agents receive it? Tell us, what have you heard in your processes that you've done? What is their response when you're sending these weekly updates?
Yeah. So almost all of them say, first of all, I have to tell them who I am. So I have a text message that says, hey, it's Rick Melville. I'm the lender on 123 Main Street. So they know I'm just not some dude on the internet texting them a video because, people can be unusual. So I send that and then I send the video, and the responses are almost always like, hey, that's so cool. Thank you. Wow, that's great. The idea, of course, is when you're sending that to listing agents to also try and find a way to let them know that you're a professional. You do a great job for your clients and everybody else involved in the transaction. And hopefully they'll send some business your way. That does happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes it doesn't happen for like 6 months. And then I'll get a note from an agent and I'll be like, who is that? Oh yeah, they were on that one. Okay, cool. So you never know where the seeds are going to sprout. My advice on that kind of stuff is you just have to keep doing it. Just keep doing it, because again, 4 to 6 months later, I get responses and it's just been, they haven't had a need for me, which I wish they had tomorrow, of course, but I'll still take it in 4 months. That's okay. I'm just continually buying their brain cells.
So for when you hear any pushback from mortgage bankers that are hesitant to get on video, how would you coach them out of that?
I would say, unless you sneeze in the middle of it or call someone the wrong name, send it. It's like snowboarding. Send it. Send it, dude, or send it, dudette. But
Right.
Seriously, just go. Don't worry about watching it again. I don't watch my own videos.
I don't either.
Yeah, I take it and I send it. And every once in a while, I'll flub something in the middle. I'll be like, yeah, I'm calling about 123 Oh, sorry. It's 456 Cleveland Lane. And people just roll with it. If you are your authentic self, then people accept that. That's what they want to see. They don't want to see that you've got a huge production value and you're staging something. They just want to see the authentic you telling them the truth about what's going on with their mortgage loan. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I think it's the overthinking muck is what I call it, because people get stuck there and they just never come out of it. And so that's just hearing that, reinstating that, just send the video, look humble. I mean, it's so important that you're just sending it, because in a room full of mortgage bankers, when I ask you whether or not you've sent or received a video, I want them to say, yes, I'm sending my agents videos every single week. It's well received. And the message just needs to be educational. It just needs to give them a little something to be able to encourage their buyers not to wait. And it's still a great time to buy. That's the other piece of it. What kinds of messages are you sending? Are you sending market updates, educational nuggets? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it depends on who I'm sending it to. So let me touch base on one thing with the videos. We are always our own worst critics. So get over that.
Get over it.
Seriously, get over it. Nobody else cares if you don't think you're perfect, because they know they're not perfect either. So let's talk about market updates, etc. I do use the cost of waiting. I use the market update stuff from MBS Highway. I think it's fantastic. I pull other data from a coaching group I'm in. And a lot of that is things like, as an example, we typically build 27 million homes per decade. In last decade, we built 5.8 million homes while adding 30 million more people. So I show that data to realtors. I keep my realtor videos short, maybe 45 seconds. And I always give them something that they can use to talk to their clients. So I'll give them some data so that when they get pushback, like in the current market, it's like, hey, there's going to be a housing bubble. All right, so I understand your fears. Let me show you some statistics and some graphs that can explain why it's really not a housing bubble. And I give them pictures because picture tells says 1,000 words, right? Just, it seems to work better. After a sentence or two, most clients are like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what you said.
It's true.
Now, when it comes to that type of stuff, because they already have a bias that there's a housing bubble, and they can't be wrong, right? They're smart people. But unfortunately, you have to show them something that says, hey, you may want to rethink this. So I give the realtor partners actual data. And then once about every 10 days, and I shift this day around, I send something to CPAs and financial planners that are referral sources because nobody's talking to them about this kind of stuff. And I usually say to them, hey, here's some mortgage information for you so you can be smarter than your clients. And
that's good.
Yeah. So they love that. And I go a little longer with them, show them a little bit more graphing, a bit more data, because that's kind of how they're wired.
Right.
But most of them find that helpful. Again, though, there are CPAs and financial planners I won't hear from for literally 4 to 6 months. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 I'll get referrals. Like, okay, that's fantastic.
I know. It's consistency. It is such key. It's a vital piece of your business being able to send these videos. And if you can't jump on board with this, Rick's just given us 1,000,001 ways to be able to reach out to our borrowers, reach out to our agents, CPAs, financial planners, attorneys, you name it. I mean, just being consistent, keeping your face out there, your name out there is just so, so important. So I appreciate this implicitly.
Sure, totally.
Thank you so much, Rick, for being on Lending Forward. And, I think it's important that they start to implement this into their business. Be the first one to do it. Outbeat the other lenders in your area. Start doing this every single day. Do you have a content calendar, or do you just kind of know your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday stuff, and then you kind of pivot? No.
I block it.
So don't overthink it.
I block it in the morning, and I can't move on to my next thing until I fulfill that. And typically I can get everything done that I need to do in an hour, less than an hour probably. But it might take me a little bit to set everything up just to make sure I have everyone's phone numbers for texting and things like that. But if you block it in the morning and get it done first thing before your processor contacts you and your client says, hey, what about this rate? And your email starts blowing up, then you win. And you really only need to win 4 out of the 5 days. Okay? Because if you win 4 out of your 5 days, you win your week. And if you win 4 weeks, you win your month. Win a couple months in a row, you get a streak and you win a quarter, right?
Right.
And it's like that snowball rolling downhill. It's like an avalanche all of a sudden, and boom, things just progress from there.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Rick.
Sure. I'm happy to help.
Thanks again for listening to the Lending Forward podcast powered by Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. Don't forget to tune in next week and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Remember, we all play a part in lending forward. So go lend something forward today.